up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fatman Gaming Podcast. So as some of you might have noticed, we took a week off. Zio was feeling a little bit under the weather. He's getting a little bit better now. I wasn't feeling too good myself, so we decided to take a week off. So we are now officially at episode 5, and we have a little bit of my... If you guys haven't been onto the channel lately, go check it out. We have some Exoprimal gameplay going up here above us, and Exoprimal is a pretty good game. I'm actually enjoying it myself. I've been putting a lot of hours into it, and I'm really digging it. The best way for me to describe it is a cross between Dino Crisis, Overwatch, and Fortnite, maybe? No building. But anyways, it's a good game. If you haven't tried it, it's free on Game Pass. Go check it out. I like to call it a really good bad game. So gameplay is kind of repetitive after a while, but I mean, you get to shoot dinosaurs in the face and fight against another team. But we'll get into that a little bit more later because I do want to talk about that. So anyways, like I said, we took a week off because both of us weren't feeling good. We're feeling a little bit better now. Yeah, good enough to do this and hang out with you guys. So, let's see. All right, let's get it started. First off, right off the bat, we are going to say again, we were trying to give away that PS2 and nobody seems to be interested. I want to give it away to somebody. So all you have to do is just leave any random comment on here before the next podcast, and we're going to pick a person at random and we're going to win it. I want to get that thing going because I want to show you guys like what we can really do. Also, make sure you guys are checking us out on Spotify. It's under the same name, The Fatman Gaming. We're on Spotify. If you don't want to watch, you can listen. And that would help us out a lot too. Leave a review, leave likes, do comments on the videos here. Go over there, rate and review them, and just make sure you're listening. So yeah, let's get on right off the bat. So a lot of stuff's been going on. So we're gonna go into a little bit of a little news thing on here. So we want to talk about the Xbox, Activision, Blizzard, and King merger. So if you guys haven't been watching, the Activision Blizzard merger and all that it's pretty much done. It's been approved it's been slightly approved. FTC and Xbox, they duked it out in court, and the FTC lost royally. They just kept coming up with petty things of why Xbox couldn't have this happen and how it was bad for games. And like I've said, as a PlayStation gamer first, I was all for the merger because if I can get Call of Duty and all that stuff for free on Game Pass, and I'm paying $16 for Game Pass a month, then I'm all for it. And there's a bunch of Activision Blizzard games in there that I would be interested in playing. Say like the old Diablos that are going on there. Game Pass. I do think Game Pass is the future of gaming, whether people like it or not. I know a lot of people don't like it. I think it's really good. To quote one of my favorite gamers and YouTube personalities, Paris Lilly, he's always on there saying how much that Game Pass is the best deal in gaming, and he's absolutely speaking the truth. I mean, I think I'm paying $16.99 a month for those vast amount of games that I don't even own an Xbox console anymore. I sold my Xbox Series X and now I have my PC, but I can play all those games that people are playing on Xbox on my PC. So I mean, it's a win-win. It really is the best deal in gaming. But they were saying how it was a bad deal. That's going to ruin games. Blah blah blah. And well, the judge from San Francisco decided to say, nope, you're wrong. It's not and we're gonna go ahead and allow it. Now there is the hiccup of now the UK is the only thing holding it up, and they're just waiting for that. So they postponed the deal until the deal originally was supposed to end July 18th. Otherwise, they were going to end up having to pay Activision, I think it was $3.8 billion just because. They now put that on hold, and I do believe they set the date for August 17th-ish. I could be wrong with that date. I know it's in August. But Phil Spencer and Xbox, the other Xbox reps have said they kind of hope and plan to have it finished before that. So there's that. So we can all pretty much say the Xbox deal is done. Activision is going to be on there, and so yeah. So Zio, give them your take on there. So what do you think about the deal finally being done? How does this affect gamers as a whole, and how does it affect you personally? Because I gave how it affects me. So wait, go ahead and give your insight on it.
Yeah, it's honestly a big win for the gaming community. Having to pay a certain price each month for Game Pass to get Call of Duty. They've already fixed the older servers from older titles. People are saying they're able to play games like Black Ops 2 again, Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare, like going back that far and having those servers up again and running smoothly. It's just they're already showing what this merger is about. It's about reconnecting the COD fans with the game titles they grew up with and what they love.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
it seems as though Sony has even saw the light and has, agreed and signed a 10-year deal, you know?
Yeah, so the 10-year deal was on the table from the very beginning because Microsoft had reached out. They got that 10-year deal signed with Nintendo. They got it signed with Nvidia. So Nvidia is, they have their cloud system that they have set up. I think it's called GeForce Experience. That's
GeForce
pretty
Now.
much, yeah, GeForce Now, and it's bundled in with the GeForce Experience because we actually use the GeForce Experience to record the podcast. So they signed a deal with them. Steam was like, I mean, really, you want to put the games where everybody's at, anyways, and Steam being the biggest PC gaming community there is, it's a no-brainer. So, good old Gabe Newell, our Lord and Savior Gabe, he was like, yeah, go ahead, put it on there. So they got their 10-year deal. Everybody got the 10-year deal, and then the only thing that was holding up was Sony, and then there proceeded the court battle and all that stuff. But yeah, Jim Ryan finally signed the deal, and Sony got the deal that everybody's going to get. Now, there were rumors in there that the deal has stipulations to where the current Call of Duty cannot show up on Game Pass. So whatever 2023 Call of Duty is, the rumor is it's Modern Warfare 3 to finish up the trilogy. Uh, it's rumored on there that the contract says that it cannot be on Game Pass, or at least not for the first year. So I
Yeah.
know a lot of people were kind of hoping, oh, we're gonna get Diablo 4, we're gonna get Call of Duty 2023, and I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, no, and, that is something I saw coming in the long run. Because
Yeah,
same thing with Assassin's Creed. Newer Assassin's Creed title, like the current latest being Valhalla, isn't on Game Pass. And
right.
the only two that are on there right now are Origins and Odyssey. So it's something that I saw Microsoft doing with like all newer games. Like majority of the time, if it's not an exclusive to them, it's not gonna be on Game Pass if it just came out. They're gonna take some
Right.
time, let the other consoles have their fun with it, and then after about a year or so, maybe put it on Game Pass.
Right. So now the big test is going to be, where does Call of Duty sell better at now? Now that Xbox technically owns Call of Duty, does it still sell best on PlayStation? Do because I want to say, let me turn my notifications off on my phone so we're not hearing all that. But I want to say I do still think that Sony has, or maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that they still had exclusive rights to first dibs on Call of Duty. Well, I guess that's over with Modern Warfare 2 being the last one. But is there still some kind of agreement that we've forgotten about that, like, PlayStation can get first dibs on, or is that over now that Microsoft owns it? But my biggest question is going to be, where does it sell best? Because if it's not going to Game Pass, then that means that Xbox or Microsoft has to physically sell it to the consoles. So I think it would be kind of a bummer. Well, actually not. I mean, because either way, Microsoft's making that money. But it would be kind of funny if it still sold better on PlayStation than it does Xbox. I mean, right? Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that is, it's a bit confusing with Game Pass. Sometimes stuff will come onto it rather quickly, other stuff takes longer. It just really depends on uh, who made the game, the company that made it. With
Hmm.
Activision now being a part of Microsoft, maybe a deal will work out to where, with the 10-year deal, maybe instead of one console having a beta time before everyone else gets it, maybe it'll
Oh,
just release beta for like all players.
yeah. Well, I think if they, I mean, I'm gonna call it right now. If anything, Microsoft gets exclusive rights to beta and all that stuff right off the bat, and then they do like it used to happen for Sony, open betas then or after like the Xbox people get their first go. And I really do think like if you signed up for Game Pass, then you should have first dibs at like any beta or something like that. I mean, as a reward for having Game Pass or whatever. I think that's just how it should be, but I don't know. This It's kind of interesting to think about. Like, man, what's the future of Activision now that it's a Microsoft studio and Blizzard not? Because like those are like it's it's really like that catalog of games from those companies is just insane now. Because you think about it, individual studios there too. Like Microsoft now owns Sledgehammer. They now own what are the other two Call of Duty? Treyarch and then Infinity Ward. Like those are
Yeah,
Microsoft studios now. Like that's insane. Like to think about. Now it's like, do we still like is Microsoft still going to annualize Call of Duty? Do they give it a year break? Do they make other games? Because I want to see at this point I want to see Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer do something new. Like I know that their pedigree is Call of Duty, but let's see what they can really do. I want to see them make something for all you watching up here, you're seeing the Exoprimal gameplay. Like, what if Sledgehammer made a game like what if Sledgehammer made the new Titanfall, like a Titanfall game? Well, I'm not saying Titanfall literally, but a game like Titanfall or a game like Exoprimal that's actually like triple A 5-star game, really freaking good. Like, I think if Microsoft just keeps them Call of Duty annually, I think they're missing the opportunity of a lifetime here with these studios.
yeah, and how I'd want to see them do it is, have Call of Duty be a 2-year game, where you have one game that comes out, and then 2 years later you release the next version.
Right, because
With
I mean they
a
can.
full 2 years in between being with updates and DLCs.
Right, and they can do it
Whatnot.
too. Right, and they can do it too because they've got. I mean, you can Warzone. Warzone speaks for itself. They can keep that going by itself, and then I mean you can keep a game going for 2 years simply just by release. I mean, they all do the game. What do they call that? The battle passes now, and as long as you're feeding decent content, you can keep a game alive for a little while. Um, but yeah, so it's like it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with all these banger studios that they got now. Um,
Yeah, because like the issue with COD right now is just that the newer games just die out way too quickly. People get
they
bored
only
way too fast because
right,
they're already getting ready for the next one.
right. The only issue I see is the only thing that was making me not want this deal to go through is the fact that Microsoft has a bunch of studios and they haven't produced anything yet. Anything of significant, like nothing like Sony does have. The one thing that PlayStation does have is they have the studios that make the killer games. Like you go to Spider-Man, and then it's not my cup of tea, but you got Horizon, you got The Last of Us. I mean, you've got games that come out of those studios, God of War, that are just top tier. And Microsoft gave us Redfall, which I personally like. It was another one of those games that I categorize as a good bad game. Um, and you got games that are considered Game Pass games. So it's like, what are we really gonna get? Even if Microsoft is hands on, the games speak for themselves. Like, what's gonna happen now? So what do you think about that? Do you think this is what do you think of the future of these studios? Like, do you think Xbox has the chops to actually give us anything good, or are we in for 10 years of doom?
I see it as more of, let's see where it goes. But I believe that it's more of a good thing than a bad thing. I think Call of Duty can actually flourish from this deal. Uh, it's just something that's more of like this franchise has been in the waters for quite some time, and it seems that Microsoft listens to what the fans want
Mm-hmm.
and is trying their best to pull it out of the water again and make it something that the fans appreciate and love and don't just constantly rag on for all glitches, all the stuff that's broken, the skill
Mm-hmm.
based matchmaking, being a dick to them, it's
And that was the other thing you brought up too. You brought back and that was another thing that has been going around and being reported on. Is like all of a sudden the old Call of Duty titles are the servers are live again, and they're being I guess they were turned back on, and the lobbies are like people are actually going back and playing Modern Warfare 2. They're playing Black Ops 2, 3, and they're going back and playing all these Call of Duty games. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. It's like, is this a sign of what's to come? Like, are these games? So a lot of the heavy rumor is that a lot of these games are getting ready to jump onto Game Pass as soon as they get the legal, as soon as they legally can put these on there. The rumor is these games are going to dump on with the lobbies. Now, I've also heard that through listening to other podcasts and all that, that the lobbies are also still full of cheaters, aim bots, and all that stuff, and that kind of sucks. So Xbox got to
yeah,
go in there and clean up that mess. But that's pretty
and that's to
cool.
be expected with like how the older COD titles were just left to rot, pretty much. Like they were just left on the shelf. And like I did mention, them being active again. Uh, what they really, what it looks like they did is that they mainly fixed the server issue on like showing like that there's a certain amount of players, but there actually aren't because people couldn't get into a match, and now people are starting to be able to find matches, just like that. And it just looks like that once this deal is final, it looks as though COD players are gonna be able to play their older titles again without having to, you know, spend so much money on them. And like I look on Steam, on places like Steam, and Black Ops 2 is still $60 to this day,
Yeah.
and
Really?
while a game like Black Ops 3,
Hmm.
$40 when it's not on sale. And it's just like it doesn't make sense to me that these older titles, as old as they are from 2012, 2013, are that pricey still. They should
Mm-hmm.
be around the 25 to 15 mark at this point.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I have all these games right here, physical, so it's like, like, can I just pop them? Oh, actually, I don't even have an Xbox anymore, so I don't even know why I own them physically. Um, but yeah, so yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, it's good too because it's like, man, like if I can just go into Game Pass PC and just play one of these with my, my controller setup, that'd be awesome. Like I would love to go back to Modern Warfare 2 OG and play for freaking those. Some of those maps are just so freaking good. Um, and I had my P90 set up, looking so sweet, the gold on it and everything, just mowing people down. Um,
Yeah, I'd like to go back to Black Ops 2.
yeah, yeah, Black Ops 2 was really good. But yeah, it's like the only thing about this whole deal, like I was saying, that got me hesitant is just Xbox's track record of games. I mean, you got your disappointments like Redfall and I mean, and let's not forget. Bethesda, they own Bethesda now, and they've had their track record of not having games come out that have been functional. Like everybody remembers Fallout 4, Fallout 76, the most notorious one. Who knows what Starfield comes out? If I'm gonna say it right now, I will put a $5 bet on here that Starfield comes out broken. And I'm excited for Starfield. I want to play Starfield. I think it looks like a freaking ridiculous mess. There's too much going on in my opinion, and I don't know if I'll stick to it. But I still want to go in there and try it out. But there's no way that game comes out and isn't a mess. Like it's just that's
But
just Bethesda's track record.
well, yeah, I mean, like, I don't think there's ever been a game as of recent years that's come out day one and not be broken in some fashion. I
Well,
mean, like,
I have.
the most notorious of games being Battlefield, as always, but you know,
Let's not forget Cyberpunk.
yeah, I mean,
Cyberpunk.
and yeah, that's another thing I was gonna bring up.
It
Like, you
took
take a
what
game like
2 years?
Cyberpunk, 2 years
Two
for them to
years?
finally get it to where it's at now, to where it's actually playable, and they're releasing DLC for it.
Yeah, we'll
But
see how this new
they
DLC
had
works
that
out.
game yeah, they had that game in production for so long. They kept pushing it back because they were trying to fix what was wrong with it, and even then, the game still came out with so many bugs and glitches.
Yeah.
It's just a common thing for a game nowadays. You just on day one release, there's gonna be some glitches that was overshot. You know, if there was like no deadlines to games whatsoever, games would just take years upon years to get done to the perfect completionist.
Well, I think the biggest problem in games right now is that they release trailers and stuff just way too early. Like they show you the trailer for, and I know why they do it. In my opinion, is because they're like, well, we're gonna have a long dry spell. We need to get something out there to get people excited, so that they're spending money on us. And it's like they release just the trailers just too darn early, and the game's not even like started yet. It's in early development, and then 4 years later, you're still sitting there waiting. Like the perfect example is Metroid Prime 4. That game was oh shoot, they announced it like early beginning life cycle of the Switch, and it's still not out. And then there was the studio. What was it? The studio was working on it, and then Nintendo was like, okay, they pulled it back, and then they went back to Retro, and now Retro's working on it, and that was yeah. It's just a mess for Metro. I mean, I don't even know. At this point, I don't see them releasing it for the original Switch, and I think it's just whatever the next Switch is. So
Yeah, and that's a pretty common thing that happen with games. Yeah, the trailers, they're to get us hyped up and ready to get the game. Uh, but most of the time, the stuff you see in a trailer doesn't even make the cut. It's just like a movie trailer. Not everything
yeah,
will happen, and
yeah.
I don't. The only issues I can really see with them acquiring Activision Call of Duty is that the accusations that Activision had against them, they're gonna try to hush that down and revamp them really. And knowing how
Well,
Microsoft deals with that kind of
well,
stuff,
the biggest thing about the whole Activision, the thing you're talking about, was the Bobby Kotick, and he was the biggest problem that Activision had. And as soon as this deal gets done, you think Xbox is like, hey, see you later, Bobby, you're fired. So I mean, he's all but done. Bobby Kotick can go suck a butt. That guy is like a disgrace to the game, the way he treats his employees and threatening to kill people. And yeah, you know, Bobby Kotick can
yeah,
go fuck himself. And
like you were saying, Microsoft's track record for gaming, for buying their
try.
gaming companies, aren't isn't best overall. But I have high hopes for them in this one because, in the last few years, Activision has been all about listening to the fans and seeing what the fans want. and delivering and having the studios deliver that.
Yeah.
So hopefully Microsoft can help with that end and just boost it to the next level because they can't do
Yeah.
Activision can't do all of it by
They
themselves
just
anymore.
they just need to be hands on because even Phil Spencer admitted that when he was on the Kind of Funny podcast talking to them, and shout out to Kind of Funny, I love those guys. Um, when he was on their podcast, when he was on the XCast, he did admit that they were not nearly hands on enough with Redfall like they should have been, and they think that that's why it kind of suffered a little bit. But at the same time, that studio that made Redfall was Arcane, and those guys, I mean, they've made games like Thief and all that. Like they have the pedigree of like that game coming out in that quality should have just never happened. Again, I thought Redfall was a good game. I played it. I actually want to go back to it and play it a little bit more. I dig the whole vampire thing. Um, but you could tell, and I think it was rumored that one of the employees had said this, that they just didn't want to make that game, and that kind of sucks. But and now you got Activision, you got Blizzard employees, you got they all these other little under studios under them. They have said all themselves like now they want to do something different. Like Microsoft, now that Microsoft owns them, they want to go do something different. Like you got the studios at Toys for Bob. They're the ones that did the Tony Hawk remakes. They want to do something. You freaking they now own Crash Bandicoot. PlayStation's mascot in the '90s is owned by Xbox. Like that's freaking insane. I can't. It's like that's just. You know what? That would be funny, and I would laugh so hard is if Microsoft made any Crash Bandicoot game just exclusive to Xbox only. What a kick in the ass that would be from the '90s. Wow, you're. I don't think you were old enough, but I was old enough to remember the commercials of Crash, the Crash guy in the Crash suit, out there with the megaphone yelling that Nintendo sucked or Sega couldn't do this. And he was doing that for PlayStation, and now to see Crash, he's now Xbox. He's an Xbox mascot. It's like, whoa, times are trippy.
Yeah,
But
and with like the studios like Activision wanted to do something different. You know, they have their other games too that they've done in the past besides COD. But like the little studios, I think that mainly I would have to say I think if they were to keep any one specific studio strictly to Call of Duty, it would most likely either be Treyarch or Infinity Ward. I think they'd probably give Sledgehammer the go ahead to do whatever they want because their track records for Call of Duty games hasn't been the best overall. You know,
yeah,
especially
no,
that it's like they released two separate World War II era games and both of them flunked pretty bad.
right. Now let's go. So let's look at the deal this way. So it's gonna be done. It's gonna go through. I already know it. It's pretty much done now. Um, PlayStation was worried about Call of Duty or whatever not being in the. Okay, if Game Pass isn't allowed to have the current Call of Duty, then let's say it still sells better on PlayStation for 10 years. What happens after this 10-year deal is done? Do they extend it? Do they? If I'm Sony, okay, so I'm gonna give you a free pitch, Sony. Here's the free pitch. They've got. I was gonna say three, but they probably got a couple more. They've got titles and franchises that they can use to reboot. Some of these would be perfect for a reboot. They could do Resistance, reboot Resistance, make it more called it. Oh, don't just leave Resistance alone. Just remake it because Resistance is awesome. Um, let's see. They've got SOCOM. Reboot SOCOM. Turn SOCOM into the next Call of Duty. I mean, they've got the studios there that they can do it. I don't understand. Like, yeah, SOCOM had its ways that it does things, but it's like do that. Make SOCOM the next Call of Duty. Uh, you got the freaking manpower and the studios with the freaking skills to do it. There's gotta be one you can pull from there. Um, then what else have they got? They got Killzone. Killzone is the perfect game for a reboot. Uh, I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts this week, and it's from Colin Moriarty and those guys over there. Gosh, I'm so ashamed of myself that I don't remember the name of it, but I got a lot going on. What the? Oh, Last. Oh my gosh, Last Stand Media over there. Colin Moriarty and those guys over there. And I was listening to their PlayStation podcast, Sacred Symbols, and they were talking about shout out to the Sacred Symbol guys. Love you guys. If you ever hear this, big fan. Um, but they were talking about the same thing. So they were talking about resistance and all that, and they were talking about Killzone. It's like Killzone, like Colin, they were talking about how you could reboot it and all that. It's like, dude, that game's perfect for a reboot. If you take the last one that they did, Shadowfall, and give it color, because Killzone is known for just being dark, gritty, brown, orange, just a dark, ugly looking game. But if you take that and you do the light that they gave it in Shadowfall, make it less futuristic, more of a modern with a twist, and make it. Here's how I would do it. So if I was rebooting Killzone, I would make it further in the timeline of Earth. You get these kind of like, okay, so like a District 9. Have you seen District 9?
I
The
believe
movie,
so.
the movie District 9 with the aliens that come to Johannesburg, Africa, and they're kind of stranded.
I think so.
Okay,
I know.
so
I've seen the movie around the house.
okay, so I would do something like that. Okay, so you're Earth. You guys, Earth is kind of like one united governmental system, whatever, and they have their Earth's at peace or whatever, and then you have this outside Earth space colony people or whatever. Their planet is like dead, dying, or destroyed, and they come here for salvation, or just to kind of like to just to survive, basically. Like, oh, our planet's gone. We're just looking for somewhere to call home, blah, blah, blah. You know that? Well, Earth's like, hey, yeah, well, come, we'll set you up, set you up, and we'll get you, we'll take you, and, the whole come be free thing. And it's somewhere down the line, tensions arise, and the Helgans don't get along with the Earth people, and the Earth people are kind of pissed off that the Helgans are there, taking up their space, taking their gerbs and stuff like that. And there you go. You get like this war that just takes place on Earth between basically a struggling survivalist people and the people that were already here. And somewhere down the line, they just want to duke it out so that Party B can take over Party A. Something like that. That'd be the perfect reboot for Killzone right there. Just modernize it. Be like, hey, these guys, you could make a Call of Duty style game out of that. There's just and what I would do is I would make it to where you could play either side. Have two campaigns, Earth campaign, Helgen campaign, and then play from both sides and see it from both ways. And if Sony actually does that, I will sue for it, because everybody heard it here first. This was my idea, but that's what I would do. Like I can write a game and make that game happen. I can't. Obviously, I couldn't develop it because those guys are geniuses. I understand nothing about that. But as far as that writing goes and all that, like I could write you a pretty damn good game that could compete with Call of Duty, I think. And there it is, right there. Like reboot Killzone, reboot Silcom, reboot Resistance, and make that your Call of Duty, because it can be done. But and then people are so hung up on the Call of Duty thing. It's like, dude, Call of Duty is not even that good of a game. It's just a tradition. Like, we're just so used to playing one every year, and it's just been such a thing that if the game dies out, in my opinion, after the first 6 months, that game's gone. Like, yeah, you got your hardcore extremists over there, but after that, the casuals are moved on to the next thing. And it's the casuals that make you the money, not the long-termers, because you make that money right there in that moment, not down the line. By then, the only ones that are giving you money are the extremists, like Dr. Disrespect and those guys. And even he doesn't even like Call of Duty anymore. He's making his own game. I heard it's not going very well, but
Yeah,
so
and like I said, yeah, like within 6 months, the game is already Call of Duty's already in the game until the next one comes out.
right.
And I also heard some rumors that some older COD players, like some OG players, want to go back to the way it used to be, with like uh where you used to pay for the DLCs,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I'm sitting there like, it's better to have like this system that they have currently, where you can buy the operator bundles. You buy the COD points, you spend them like that. I like this newer system as much as an OG player as I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather not go back to having to spend like $15 on like a DLC just to get so much
Yeah,
content.
it's gonna be interesting to see how Microsoft handles this whole situation. It just like I'm excited to see what happens. I want to see if Microsoft has the chops to make this work. Um, but yeah, and it's crazy. So I don't know. Do you think do you think we ever see Game Pass on a PlayStation console? Because I mean, if you think about it, if PlayStation can get even just a small cut, like if Microsoft is like, hey, we'll cut you off a piece of this pie if you let us put Game Pass on PlayStation. That way you can have Call of Duty on your console. It's just through our filter. You think that ever happens?
Personally, Sony has too much of an ego
Yeah.
to stoop to that. However, that does pose an interesting question. I see something along the lines of something similar happening, where PlayStation finally takes the hint, and because they already updated their PlayStation Plus to where it is currently, where you can play older gen titles through the
Mm-hmm.
subscription tiers. And I think this is actually them experimenting, because that's how Game Pass is, where it's like you could play certain titles, and some of them are old as, like, some of them could be as old as like as Xbox titles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is PlayStation's way of experimenting, seeing how well this does, and if it does them well, then maybe they might make something similar to Game Pass and take it to Microsoft themselves and say, "Hey, do you want to work out a deal to where, instead of doing the 10 years on the console exclusively, you can do something like where the game is just completely streamed through streaming apps." And Nintendo
Right.
has their own, PlayStation has one, Xbox has one, Steam has one, Nvidia has one. I think that would just be something that would be the where everyone's heading with. I think that's where it's gonna head down to. That's the path everyone's gonna choose. We're no longer gonna have physical games. We've already managed our way to digital games. Most people buy games digitally now anyway. We're just one step
Yeah.
away from being complete streaming games, where you just pay one price monthly or yearly, and you get a whole access to a backlog of games and new ones.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know. I hate the digital future. I love collecting my games. I don't want to think about not having a physical copy of the game, even though we've talked about it before. Alan Wake 2 is going to be digital only, and that it kind of pisses me off because it's like, well, I I don't I don't digitally download games period on my PlayStation console. I won't, um, unless it's something like through PlayStation Plus or whatever they call it now. But I won't buy a new game and download it physically. I mean, digitally if I don't have to, because I like having the physical, uh, the physical game here. And it's like, the digital future just irks me. I just don't like it. But then again, I don't really see Xbox having a console next generation. I can see Xbox just being like, hey, here's this little thing you hook up on the back of your TV. It comes with a controller. You know, it comes with Game Pass. You pay every month for Game Pass. Here you go. You can just stream it. I really do think Xbox's future is streaming only. I don't see them wanting to, because it costs money to build these consoles. I think that they would make more money if they weren't concentrating on building these boxes. I could see Xbox just going straight to the little dongle thing and being like, okay, everything's right here, all in one, just hook it up to you. Or even having just a TV app like they do on certain Samsung TVs. There's a Game Pass app. All you need is a controller to sync up to your TV, and there you go, you're good to go.
Yeah, like I see them taking a route of something like in the beginning, like a little Roku device.
Yeah, well,
You
if you
know,
look at Phil Spencer, whenever he does interviews, he's got that little box that we're talking about. It's sitting on his shelf. I know they were experimenting it for a while, but they did say a while back that they shelved it for now. I don't know. I guess it wasn't working according to what they wanted, or is it still in developmental stage? But yeah, they've definitely got one. I forgot the code name for it, but it's on his shelf. So
yeah, and having something like this, uh, you know, it will just take gaming to the next level. Because if just having a
right.
little stick and just plug it into the TV, you know,
Well,
you
really,
can
at
make
that point, yeah. Well, really, at that point, you're only being held hostage to your internet. Like, if you have crappy internet, well, then your signal will be crappy. But I used XCloud just to mess with it, and I've never had an issue. I've never had any latency drop. I've never had a game that flopped really bad on my PC or even on my phone. I've never really had a bad experience. Now, the only bad experience that I have had with XCloud is on my Steam Deck, but that was because it's hard to explain because there's a whole map that you got to do, or a whole freaking list of things you got to do to get it running properly, and I think I screwed it up somehow, or the signal on my internet was just really crappy at the time. But I've never gone back to try it. I also don't have that Steam Deck anymore, so I haven't put it on my new one because really all I do on my new Steam Deck is retro games. So I really haven't really used it for its intended purpose. But I've never had a bad experience with XCloud. So I could
yeah, and I
see
mean,
the little dongles working out perfectly.
yeah, it could be something even just as simple as you just plug this sucker in and it's your entire
Yeah.
thing. So like Roku has one where it's just a stick like this. The end is an HDMI port, and then you plug it into the back of your TV. So when you
Right.
turn your TV on, it powers that as well. And I
Yeah.
see it like
Amazon has
that
the
being
same
a more
thing.
viable. I see this,
Yeah.
them doing that as a viable option. Like no
Yeah. I mean, if
wires whatsoever.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I know. It's like I don't even like honestly. I don't even see Xbox having a console next generation. I think they probably will have one more, but I could see Xbox be just being like, yeah, we don't need the box anymore. It's just everywhere. So,
Yeah, because I mean,
but
like it costs, like you said, it costs money to make these big boxes, and they're already working their way towards digital only consoles. I mean, like these current gen consoles, you have the Series S
right.
and the PS5 no disc version, where it's all just digitally
Mm-hmm.
games. And
That gives the other question: what does Nintendo's next console look like? Is does Nintendo still want to fool around with the cartridges, or do they go digital only uh, on the next Switch? You know, it's crazy, like to think like man, this digital future is coming, and a lot of people don't like it, but a lot of people do, and I get it. But then you're getting into the storage realm, like how do you store? I mean, like then you're gonna get into all these memory cards, and what do you need? Expanded memories, and because the what is it? The PlayStation, so the PS5 storage thing has gotten a lot better. So now you can get a 2 terabyte NVMe drive for under $100 or around $100 now. Uh, The Microsoft ones are still, I think, what, 199 for the little Seagate cards, and then they got the Western Digital cards now. They're a little bit cheaper, but not much. So it's like, what is the Switch going to use? Is that going to use, like the little XD cards, or like if it's digital, it's like, and those little memory cards for Nintendo, like they're expensive too. So it's like, man, I think what uh, a 2 terabyte memory card, the same thing that, or SD card that even my Steam Deck uses, a 2 terabyte is like right around $180, $200. It's like, man, this is getting expensive. I could see them making their money off expanded memory, all three. So yeah, that's another reason why I don't like digital, because then if I fill up one card, I have to have another, or if I fill up one drive, I have to have another, and swapping them out is easy enough, but PlayStation's is the hardest, because you gotta you gotta take your shell off, you gotta unscrew the little thing, put the drive in, screw it back on, put the shell back on it. The other two, you just kind of pop in and out. So it's like, ugh, what a nightmare that's gonna be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it's exciting that the Game Pass, or the Game Pass. It's exciting that the Microsoft Activision Blizzard King deal is gonna be done finally. But at the same time, it's nerve wracking, because it's like Microsoft has that heavy weight on their shoulders of, okay, now can we get the good games? Where's, like, how long do you think it is before we see this deal actually pay off? Like, when do we get the next best thing out of these studios? And why? When is it not Call of Duty? Because I want to see these studios do more than just Call of Duty. You know,
Yeah. You know,
like,
I would not have a timetable on that personally, but you know, if Infinity Ward, Treyarch, or Sledgehammer Games would release a different game, I could probably see maybe Microsoft having one of them possibly reboot Halo, maybe. Because the last time they tried it, it didn't go so well. And
yeah, yeah, no,
maybe,
that's a good point that you make right there too. Because, okay, say you got Okay, so say you got Treyarch doing one thing, and you got what's it, Treyarch? It's Treyarch, Infinity Ward, and who else? Sledgehammer. Say
yeah,
you got, so which one makes Modern Warfare? Is that Infinity Ward?
yeah,
Okay, so say you got Treyarch and Sledgehammer doing the next Call of Duty, right? And then, okay, so you got Infinity Ward sitting there doing nothing. Dude, put Infinity Ward on Halo. I could see, if you give the guys that made Modern Warfare 1 and 2, and you say, here's Halo, go do whatever you want with it, make us the next great Halo. I think something amazing gets done. I really do. That's pretty much my point. Is like, let these studios do something more than Call of Duty. Now you've got the firepower to make something great, and it's like, let them do it. Give us more Tony Hawk. You have the studio that made the game. Give us more. I could care less about Crash. He can do whatever, but give us games like that. It's like you own some of the biggest things out there now. So it's like, do something with it. Give us Diablo 4 on Game Pass, because I'm not going to pay for it. I want to play Diablo, but I'm not going to go pay $70 for it. I'm sorry. So if it comes to Game Pass, I'll play it. But if it doesn't, then I'll play it when it eventually does come to Game Pass, because it's going to. But yeah, you've got all this firepower now. Now you've got all these great studios behind you. You've got more studios than Sony at this point. It's like, okay, show us what you got now. Like, we've been waiting ever since the Xbox One X days. Give us what you got. When is it going to happen? So I think it's time for Xbox. For lack of better words, they need to shit or get off the pot, because now you got all this. There's no excuses anymore.
yeah. And earlier when you were talking about like PlayStation, the studios they have that could make a game that could rival Call of Duty. One that popped in my head, that's been having some good luck on them exclusively is Insomniac. I know it's not
Mm.
really their deal, but I mean, like one of the games they also made for PlayStation was Ratchet and Clank. You
Yeah.
know, I could see them like maybe going to them for one of their older shooter games, one of their older FPS games, and saying, "Hey, can you remake this?"
Yeah. Let's see. Trying to figure. Let's see. Trying to. I think Insomniac made Resistance. Let's see. Yeah, Insomniac. They made Resistance. Yeah, let them go back and make Resistance. I mean, after they're done with Spider-Man and Wolverine, let those guys go back and do what they did. I mean, I bet you there's someone or a group of them in the studio that want to make another Resistance. There's got to be. But, anyways, that's our take on the Activision Blizzard King deal. So yeah, we're excited for it. We want to see what Microsoft does for it. We're looking forward to the future. Looking forward to see what happens to Call of Duty if it comes to Game Pass or not. I have my doubts, but I do think the older ones will, and I think that the older ones are going to show up like pretty fast. Um, so before we go, real quick, there is one thing that I do want to talk about. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but did you see them announce the Spider-Man PS5?
No, actually.
Oh my gosh, let me tell you, this thing is beautiful. They announced a PlayStation 5. I don't know if it's a digital or a disc. I kind of hope it's a disc. If it's a disc model, I'm going to own two PS5s. um, but they announced the PlayStation edition, or the Spider Man edition PS5. So there's a console, and I think it comes with the game, and it comes with the controller, and the controller's amazing looking. The console is beautiful red. It's got the black. One side red with black on it. The other side is black with the, I think it's the Spider-Man logo, but in the Venom style. The controller is black and red. A little bit of, it's got a weird texture looking thing on it. But the best thing was they announced that you could buy the plates separate. So if I can't get my hands on the console, which I am going to try to get the hold of the console first, then at least I'll be able to buy the plates and put on my PlayStation 5. Currently, my PlayStation 5 has clear blue see-through plates, so I don't have the white plates. I have see-through blue, so my console looks really sexy. Um, uh, but yeah, they announced that. I think it was yesterday or the day before. They came out,
Yeah, I'm
and
looking at it
yeah,
now, and it
it's
does look good.
it slaps hard. It's beautiful, and I got excited when I seen that console. Does it say if it's digital or disc? Because if it's
It
the
looks like it's
dig,
both. It looks like you can do it for both.
okay, yeah.
The
Because
pictures
I
I'm
don't.
getting have majority of the time I'm looking at it, and I see mainly the disc one that they're doing.
Okay, all right, yeah. Because I don't want a digital edition. I just don't. So yeah, if it's disc model, I will buy that console. I'll probably buy a set of plates too. Even if I get the console, I'll still buy the plates. But the
Yeah,
reason why I
because
want that console,
the console's gonna come over here.
yeah,
I'll
because
t-
the reason why I want that console though is for the controller. That controller just looks so badass.
I'll let you keep if you get the console. I'll let you keep the controller as long as I can have the console.
Actually, if I buy that console's never getting opened. It's gonna go straight into the game case. Yeah,
Sounds about like another PS5.
yeah. So, yeah, I don't think I'd ever open that. So that's why I would buy the controller and the plate separate. But yeah, they announced that, and I think they did another story trailer. Maybe I think I don't remember. I just got lost in that console. But yeah, it was pretty amazing. So I was like, oh, I thought I would just kind of shout that out too. Um, but then yeah, so what have you been? Have you been playing anything lately? So I've been playing Exo Primal. You guys can see the gameplay up there above us. Really good game. I mean, by now you've seen, if you're watching this on YouTube, you've seen the gameplay above us, so you kind of know more or less what you're getting into. It's free on Game Pass right now. It's available on PlayStation 2, I think. But I've been playing it on Game Pass because it's, obviously it's a Game Pass game, so that's probably, in my opinion, the best way to go and get it. So it's a 5v5 team based dinosaur hunting game is the best way I could describe it. It's you and an opposite team, and you're going through these stages of first team to finish all of the little missions that it gives you wins. I play PVE because I don't like playing actually against the other team, because in the other one there is a mode where you're fighting dinosaurs, but you're also fighting the other team, and then it goes into different stages of where you're pushing the cargo thing to the end goal. So it's got a lot of Overwatch in it, a lot of like it's got a lot of different games mixed into it. The gameplay is really good. I love the feel of the suits in there. The weaponry is really good. People are saying it's a bad game, but it's really not. I call it a good bad game. And the only reason I say it's bad is because the gameplay does get kind of repetitive. But it's one of those games where, like, if you're bored and you kind of just want to play something real quick with your buddies, this game is perfect for that. So that's what I've been playing. What have you been up to, Z?
I've been playing, working on my Call of Duty, trying to level it back up to where I was. Unlocking more weapons and Cold War, so I could play with my friends more. Um,
Gotcha.
I've been playing just mainly like GTA 5, Call of Duty.
Right.
Not much of anything else.
So that PC still treating you good?
Yeah, it is. As I have to turn off at night because the freaking lights are blinding. And
Yeah, I did have a. So those of you that don't know, I don't think we talked about it much, but I built a gaming PC. It's a modest little PC. It pulls its punches. It's not anything like super super, but it does play Game Pass and it does do all that stuff. To perfectly spot on. I'd give it an A. I gave it to him, and I don't know if we mentioned it before, but he's my cousin, so he's actually a family member. So and in order for him to be able to do the podcast with me, I needed him to have some gaming stuff going on in his life. So I did give him my second PC, and he's been messing around with it. So that's how he's able to do his Game Pass games and all that. And Steam
yeah,
games.
I've been playing whatever I bought on Steam. My Game Pass ran out, and they
Hmm.
have the money this month to relaunch an even for off with G2A, which I could find like a card on there for like $5.
Oh,
Anywhere,
nice.
yeah, anywhere from like $2 to $10 at most.
Yeah.
You know,
Ooh, sorry about
was able
that.
to do
Yeah.
that this month, so I've been out of
Yeah.
Game Pass.
Yeah. Man, you should have told me because I had one of those 1 month cards. I got it. I just bought a new PDA controller or PDP controller so that I can use it on the PC, and because my other controller was drifting. So I just bought a cheap little PDP controller, and it came with a 1 month card, but I gave it to Anthony. Um, But yeah, so that's what Z's been playing. I've been playing Exo Primal again. Actually, as soon as we get done with this podcast, I'm probably gonna hop back on Exo Primal because for some reason that game just gives me the itch to want to keep playing. So other than that, that's what
I've
we've
had
been doing.
a few of those games where
Yeah.
they draw you in so much that you just want to keep playing it.
And you know what though? It's such a for me. I love it. I think it's a really good game. I think Capcom did a really good job on it. It's not something that like it's like I said a little bit earlier. It's one of those games that you can go in, you play like 2 3 matches, and then you're satisfied with your game. You feel good that you did it, and that's it. A lot of the people who are giving it crap for saying it's not a good game, go piss on a rock because it's not that bad at all. It's actually pretty good. I like it so, but
Yeah, from the
yeah.
gameplay I've seen of it off of your live streams and from my friends playing it, it doesn't look that bad of a game.
It's a really good game. The thing about gamers is like they're so self entitled. Gamers are so bad when it comes to things like they think that and I say they and I say we, but gamers are just they're such a a beast of a creature because it's like we think that we're owed or done these things, and every game that comes out needs to be AAA and it needs to be the next Halo or Call of Duty or Mario, and it's not. There's these little, I call this a AA Capcom game, and they have a spot too. You know, just like indie games have a spot in it. Like, just shut up and play. Stop being such a baby. If it's not for you, then don't play it. But don't try to discourage other people for liking it or playing it, because their opinion is not yours, and you probably suck. So, anyways, do you want to throw anything else out there, or do you want to wrap this up?
No, I think I'm good there. I think that's it.
All right. Well, there you guys have it. This was our podcast, the Xbox podcast. I'm gonna call it. This was our opinion on the merger, where we think about it, where we feel like it's headed in the future, and we're excited to see where it goes from here. Um, yeah, so if you guys made it to the end, don't forget to like, subscribe, and do the YouTube thing. Go give us a listen on Spotify, rate the podcast. And don't forget, we're doing the PS2 giveaway. It's here, it's ready to go, just waiting for someone to claim it. All you gotta do to enter is just leave a comment on any of our videos, so I'll go on there and I'll go and see, I'll go and check them out and see, and then by next Friday when we do the next podcast, we'll go ahead and try to see if we can get rid of it. I had somebody on TikTok that I was going to give it to, but they never contacted me, so here it sits. We have another giveaway planned after the PS2, but we need to get rid of the PS2 in order to do the next one, and the next one's going to be pretty freaking cool. So, yeah, so that's it. So you guys can reach me at let's see. You guys can reach me at YouTube, obviously. If you have any questions, leave it there in the comments on one of the videos, and I'll get back to you as soon as you can. But if you need to get a hold of me for anything, you can get a hold of me at Trake, TRAKE04 at hotmail.com. Just leave me your questions and concerns. Please don't send deck pics because I don't want to see them. I'm also on Twitter under the same name, Trake12. Or it's at Trake12 on YouTube. On Twitter. So Twitter, email, YouTube. You guys know where to find me. Z, where can they find you?
At Zio_Philip on all platforms. I was able to change everything to that acronym, so to that name. So it's just easy to find me now.
All right, perfect. All right, guys. So here you go. There it is. We're gonna sign out here. We want you guys to go ahead and do the things like we asked. We would appreciate it, and help us get this thing going. I so enjoy doing this. Like, I really do. I really love it. I do it every week, even though things are going slow right now. I do have a small following, so we have a small following now. I'm enjoying all 57 of my subscribers, and I want it to be more. And I want to do more for you guys, but I need your guys' help in doing it. So if you guys can go in there and help us out, help us get big, help us be what we are hoping that we can be. Also, shout out to my inspirations for why I wanted to do this. I have several. So, like I had mentioned before, the Kinda Funny crew, they're one of my biggest inspirations of why I decided to do this. There was also the streamer that I watch on Facebook, Blast Processing. They were a big inspiration for me. But my biggest one, and I know I'm gonna get it. I know it. My biggest one is the Last Stand Media guys. Mainly, I do love everybody over there, but mainly Colin. If it wasn't for Colin Moriarty, I don't think I'd be doing this right now, because of all the stuff that he went through and all the turmoils over. It's such a minor thing at this point, and the blacklisting he still got and all the hate that he still gets. And I seen that, and I'd gone through some personal stuff in my life, and I seen all that, and it's like, it was when he started Last Stand Video, and I was like, I think I want to try that. And I held off for a long time until recently. But if he ever does see this, or he ever even knows that we exist, I want Colin Moriarty and the Last Stand Media guys to know that they were my biggest inspiration for doing what I'm doing right now, and why I want to continue to get better. So that's it for me. Z, say goodbye to the people, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
See you guys later.